It looks like you're putting together a script or review on the best RGB RAM for gaming PCs. How would you like me to refine or improve this? Do you want it structured better, made more concise, or formatted for a specific style, e.g., YouTube script, blog post, etc.? Let me know how I can help. Number 5. XPG Lancer RGB RAM. If you're looking for the best RGB RAM for your gaming PC, the XPG Lancer takes the number 5 spot on our list. If you want to check out any of the RAM sticks mentioned in this video, you can find Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international buyers. Availability and configurations. The XPG Lancer is available only in DDR5, which is becoming the new standard. So, this shouldn't be an issue for most users. Here are the available speeds. Small Blue Diamond 5200 MHz, 5600 MHz, 6400 MHz, and 7200 MHz. CAS latencies. Small Blue Diamond 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, and 40. Stick sizes. Small Blue Diamond 16 GB or 32 GB per module. Aesthetics and RGB quality. The RGB lighting on the XPG Lancer is vibrant and looks amazing in the dark. However, in daylight, the brightness isn't as strong as some of the other options on this list. That said, it still has a clean and stylish design that works well with most PC builds. Height and compatibility. Height can be an important factor, especially if you're using an air cooler instead of an AIO liquid cooler. The XPG Lancer RAM sticks are 40 mm tall, which means they should fit most builds without issues. RGB control and customization. These RAM sticks use motherboard software for RGB control, making them compatible with all major brands, including Heavy Checkmark Asus Aura Sync, Heavy Checkmark Gigabyte RGB Fusion, Heavy Checkmark MSI Mystic Light Sync, Heavy Checkmark Ashrock Polychrome Sync. Color options and overclocking. You can choose the XPG Lancer in black or white, depending on your build style. For performance enthusiasts, this RAM supports XMP 3.0 and AMD Expo, allowing for easy overclocking. Warranty. Lastly, the XPG Lancer comes with a limited lifetime warranty, giving you peace of mind for long-term use. Number 4. Spot, which is the Team Group. T-Force Delta. The available configurations are very massive here, which gives you a ton of, just ability to customize your PC exactly how you want it while still keeping RGB. So let's go over those first. You can either get this in DDR5 or DDR4 with very slight, design differences. They are slightly different designs, but they're pretty much the same. For DDR5, this is available in 52, 56, 6000, 6200, 6600, 6800, 7200, 7600, 7800, and 8200 MHz speeds. That's so many to choose from, so you guys get the idea. Check the link below if you want to go and figure out the best one for you. For CAS latencies, there are 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, and 40. Now, for the DDR4 speeds, check the links below. I'm not going to go over those, I'm only going to be doing DDR5. But do keep in mind that if you are running a motherboard with DDR4 only compatibility, you can still get this RGB RAM if you want it. But now, aesthetics, the T-Force Deltas have a very cool RGB look to them. They show deep colors very vividly. However, lighter, more muted colors appear kind of muddy and just overall don't look great. So if you're really into the deep vibrant colors, there's no question this is a good choice. But more pastel colors just don't come off looking great, nor does white. So if you're doing, an icy white build, this is probably one to skip. And one thing also to mention is, due to the design of them, they're kind of angular, which is very cool. It also takes up a little bit more space at a height of 46 mm, so make sure your air cooler can fit it. Probably won't, as this is pretty tall. So if you have an air cooler, you might want to go on AIO or choose different RAM. Now, as far as RGB controls, this again is going to use your motherboard software, so Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, BioStar, Ashrock, you're good. So those are the different ones that it'll be compatible with. And as for colors, this either comes in black or white, so again, you have that choice. Now, one of the things to definitely pay attention to here is the overclocking. While this is fully compatible with XMP, it is not with AMD Expo. That being said, there is a T4 Delta Alpha variant that is AMD optimized for AMD Expo, but has more limitations on the configuration, so definitely something to keep in mind. And as for the warranty, well, it is a lifetime warranty, but with that, let's move on to the number 3 spot. This is where it gets very exciting for me personally. This is the G.Skill Trident Z5. G.Skill has been in the RGB RAM game forever, and this is definitely, I think, their best variation that they've done, at least visually, for the configurations. These are all DDR5 now. Speeds here are a little more limited when compared to T4S, but you get 56, 6000, and 6400 MHz with CAS latencies of 30, 32, 36, and 40, with that sticks coming in either 16 GB or 32 GB per stick, so a good amount, not as crazy as T4, which honestly might go a little overboard. But it's the aesthetics here that are so special. The Z5s have great vibrant colors, but just average brightness. The biggest cool factor with the Z5s is the awesome design and the look of the metal that's integrated into the RGB. White light is also quite accurate, so these would definitely work with an all-white build, especially considering the metal, which just looks very, very good, especially with an icy build. This also does pastel colors well, which is impressive considering the brightness level, and overall, this is just an awesome-looking RGB RAM stick. Now, as for the height, this comes in at 43mm, although I would really say, across the board, you really wouldn't want to use an air cooler unless you have a very specific kind of air cooler. You just wouldn't want to cover up that RGB. Now, as for RGB controls, this is just going to use your motherboard software, like most of these, not all of them though, so compatibility with Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, and Ashrock. So, most of you guys are going to be pretty good. For colors, you either have that metallic silver or a matte black, so those are kind of different, kind of cool, but I personally really like the silver. Now, again, similar to the T-Force, this has full overclock compatibility with XMP, but not with AMD Expo. This does, again, have a variation called the Trident Z5 Neo, which is the AMD version that does support AMD Expo. So, again, change your buying decisions if that's what you want to do. If you have an AMD system, go with the Neo variation for sure. And as for warranty, you get a limited lifetime warranty, pretty standard stuff. But with that, let's move on to the number 2 spot, which is starting to get really good, and this is the Kingston Technology Fury Beast. If you guys don't know, Kingston HyperX, they're like the same, but this has a bunch of available configurations with actually both DDR5 and DDR4, so you're good if you have kind of last-gen RAM. Now, there are slight visual, design differences between the DDR4 and DDR5, but it's very, very slight. The DDR5 has speeds of 48, 52, 56, and 6000 MHz with options up to 128 GB total, essentially, and CAS latencies of 36, 38, and 40. Again, I'm not going to go over the DDR4, you can check that below in the links. But the first thing you notice with the aesthetics here is the Fury Beasts have brightness that is immense. These are definitely on the much brighter side, so vibrancy of colors here is great. What you lose in uniqueness of design, you gain with brightness and vibrancy here. This is great if you have tinted glass or you just want to light up your case a lot more. This RGB will legitimately actually light up your case, especially in the dark. White light, yeah, this does it, and it does it well. So if you're going to go for a white build, this is an absolute no-brainer. Lighter colors also look better here, with more consistency of color, so a muted build is definitely something that's possible with these sticks. Overall, I was very impressed with these, but also I expected it because HyperX Kingston they've always crushed RGB. And as far as height, these come in at 42mm. Now, for RGB controls, you can either use your motherboard's standard software, such as Asus, Razer, Gigabyte Fusion, MSI Mystic Light, or Ashrock, but you can also use the Kingston Fury control, which is like their own software. So you can also do that, or you can use the other ones. That's kind of nice. There it is. As for color options, you can either get this in black or white, which we do expect. And one of the nice things is, you don't have to change your buying decisions whether you're on Intel or AMD, because it's compatible across the board with XMP and Expo. As for warranty, lifetime warranty, you guys already know, but with that, let's move on to the number 1 spot, which is so exciting. This is the Corsair Dominator Platinum RGB, coming in a ton of variations, either DDR4 or DDR5. For DDR5, there's 6200 MHz with a CAS latency of 36, 6400 MHz with a CAS latency of 32, 5600 MHz with a CAS latency of 36, 5200 MHz with a CAS latency of 40. There's even more than that, so check the links below if you want to check them out. But let's talk aesthetics. These are my single favorite looking RGB sticks ever created. It'll be hard to top this, even in the future. It creates a centerpiece for any RGB build. It has a wild, very unique RGB design, and the modes follow suit. They are really, really cool. One of my personal favorites is called Stack, where each of the sticks kind of stack up like Tetris, kind of matching each other but kind of random. It is so awesome. The brightness on these is absolutely wild, actually lighting up a very large amount of your case with light, like just RGB light from them alone. It's pretty wild. These are also 100% the most unique looking RGB RAM sticks on the market, with those square RGB, almost pixel-like designs. This is bright, it's vibrant, it does pastel colors well, it does white light, it basically does everything perfectly. I mean, Corsair literally just, destroyed everything else with these RAM sticks. I mean, I personally absolutely love the look of these. Now, as for the height, you better have an AIO because these are bulky. I think these are the biggest RAM sticks on the list. They come in at 56 millimeters. That is ginormous. They're very tall, they're very bulky. If you want these, you better have your area designated for them. Get yourself an AIO, route the lines out of the way because you're going to want to look at that RGB RAM. Now, as far as RGB controls and just controls in general, classic Corsair, you have to use IQ. Now, that's kind of, a bad thing because it would just be easier to use, like your motherboard software. But the benefit of that is there's so many super unique designs and modes and reactive mode. It's so good that it's worth it, for sure. Also, this has onboard voltage regulation, as well as the ability to save XMP profiles for those that like to really fine-tune their overclock settings. As for color options, it either comes in black or white. Now, as for overclocking, this is compatible with XMP 2.0 with DDR4 and then XMP 3.0 with DDR5. The DDR5S and DDR4S are also available in AMD versions that are obviously AMD Expo compatible for overclocking on the AMD builds. Make sure to check that before buying. And as for a warranty, it's a limited lifetime warranty. But again, if you want to check out any of the 5 RAM sticks in this video, there's an Amazon link below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. If you guys don't know a lot about RAM, most of what's going to come down to this is the available speeds that you want to fit your system, compatibility, obviously with overclocking, and then whether it's DDR4 or DDR5 because they are not cross-compatible. But besides that, the actual RAM sticks that are inside of this, not counting cooling, like the heat sinks or the RGB, which is a huge part of these RAM sticks, they're all really, really good. They all have lifetime warranties on them, and most of the time, they're actually going to be manufactured in the same spot. Corsair, most of these companies are actually not making their own RAM sticks, so chances are they're the same actual sticks. So, a huge part of your decision is compatibility and then, the aesthetics and available speeds. But yeah, this is a consumer tech review, and I'll see you guys in the next video.